Okay, so OpenAI has released their Chrome extension for Codex. Um, your initial reaction was like, okay, we've seen like Anthropic do this. There's probably like 5 variations of this to date. What's so special? I will show you. It's actually how they've designed it. And I was like watching through it, and then I think it was either some phrasing that they had mentioned where it was like, hey, you can uh, like run JS, or maybe I like saw Node.js in the actual video. I can't remember, but I started digging into it, and turns out it is very similar to a CLI that I have built. And it's in a space that I know so much about. And so I was very excited, wanted to make this video. But first, let me kick off 2 variations, and then we'll like talk through things, because it turns out like what I have built and what they have built are like virtually identical. It's just fascinating to me. So I'm gonna kick that off and this. And for context, we're gonna be using um, Home Depot, and specifically because Home Depot has some extremely strict bot control right now, like so strict that on my Linux PC, I have I use a Helium browser, which is like forked off of Chromium, but because it's Chromium, not Chrome, which is often likely to be used with automation software, it is blocked. Like I cannot actually access it myself as a human just to like navigate around. It's ridiculous. But anyways, that's the reason I picked it. And as you can see, like both of these are working away. And their goal is to navigate to the sites, go to the daily deals, and then selectively extract just like the tool information. While this is working, I am going to very briefly go through the history of AI using the web browser. Okay, so Playwright MCP and Chrome DevTools MCP. To me, they're like kind of the same thing. Um, Problem being, you have to register a ton of MCPs, and even more of a problem, it's a super inefficient protocol, right? Like you're having to effectively like pull back the entire DOM to like view what's happening or capture a screenshot and then have the agent read the screenshot, which is like equally terrible. And once you're making all these progressive calls, like that context is building up and the agent gets stupid. Okay. Okay, so what was the next variation of that? Well, there's Playwright CLI and then Agent Browser. I like Agent Browser a little bit more, and there's actually a good variation of this for like testing TUIs called Pilot TTY. Anyways, point being is it's similar in concept to the Chrome DevTools, but it's just using a CLI, and it's a lot more token efficient. The design is relatively intelligent, and there's some other nice to haves. Problem being, though, is if it's a site that blocks the use of like automation browsers, you will not be able to use it. And that is, it's like a pretty strict, or like this fails pretty early on. And what I mean by early on is even on some of my own sites where I have like just Cloudflare protection, I cannot use it to test my own like site in production because it will block it. And obviously, if you need to be logged in, that doesn't really work. I mean, you can get around it with like refreshing your own like cookie and some other things, but like it gets super hacky. Okay, so then there have been other attempts. Like I was in the WebMCP early preview for like Chrome 147. I think it's well intentioned and a good idea, but like the companies that want to shove 4 MB of like ad tracking and like eyeball tracking software at you to make sure that you are looking at the exact right SKU that is price optimized to make you overpay. They're not gonna like implement this, and it requires that company to actually implement it. So I think it's a nice theoretical idea, and um, the dev like experience is gonna be pretty good because you can maintain like one common interface for interaction, but still make it efficient for agents. But I don't think it's like an end all be all, because what you need is something that's going to be generic. Let's see if each of these have progressed. Well, this one is finished, and this one just finished. So what it did was it went through, created like a session with the actual browser, and in both of these cases, right, there's something that you have to approve. In my case, right, like I just made it a little button here, or there's like a config file, and then Codex has something super similar where like you have to pre-approve a URL. Anyways, same kind of experience, and this actually looked quite successful. It looked like it got pretty much everything. This seemed to have gone a little bit too quickly. Maybe it didn't like scroll or anything on it. I can see. No, maybe it did. Maybe it worked just fine. I don't know. I'm not going to pay Microsoft. Anyways, so here you go. So like it was able to extract all the information. It was able to do it like pretty efficiently. And the reason I was using this through Pi was I wanted to show you what was actually happening. Is behind the scenes, it creates or like it'll just write JavaScript, right? And the awesome part about the web, well, good and bad, is pretty much all JavaScript. And so you can do things like if you like are in here, you can just literally like type in commands, right? Like this is itself a REPL. And so I built this CLI for two reasons. One, I needed to get like network traces in bulk from a couple of sites and just like understand how things were behaving. This is actually a feature that is not in Codex, and maybe with good reason. But that was like one of my use cases, and the other use case was like I wanted better, more efficient testing software and something that I could use for like production sanity testing as well, including ones where like I was logged in and needed to be logged in. And so like that is like the primary reason that I ended up creating this stuff. But let me switch back. And the reason I was so excited by this was it turned out we had used very, very similar approaches. So let me ask, can you print out for me the tabx command tree, at least like all of the key commands? Within the Node REPL, what does the Chrome Codex plugin expose for you to use and navigate around? Okay, so while this is printing, I'm going to quickly talk through it. All right, so setup. Like find all your browsers, session list. Then you have to like select, find the tab. I don't actually have tab groups and stuff like that, so they have a lot more polish. But point being is like list, select, claim. Well, that's attach. Then if you want to like navigate to a specific location, I have like page navigate. There's even like similar wait commands. I don't have history and some of these other like extras, but like in large part it is virtually identical. Just like you can go all the way down the list, even in the way that like some of these are supported. Like they're using the same, like they also support like a playwright based way of just like getting certain elements and like selecting and stuff like that, because you absolutely need it if you're on like certain types of websites. But I like same thing, also supported that. And then mine has these like invisible commands behind the scenes where like you start it up, it will create a session, and then when you like stop a command or like close out the REPL, then it will like terminate it. The only real difference is like mine also adds this like network piece, which is actually, I'm gonna say, a good thing that OpenAI did not support, and I'll explain why in a second. But yeah, virtually identical capabilities just like across the board. It was just like so fascinating to me to just like look through how they implemented this and realize that we had come to the same rough approach. And I'm sure that OpenAI did a whole lot more like design and planning and evals and testing. My solution was I just like thought about it. And I was like, okay, if I was going to have to do this action myself, what would I want? Well, I don't want just a plain, hey, I can run JavaScript in one big bulk, because until you get to a site, until you like perform an action, you don't know what's going to happen next. And so you want to be able to like run one piece without having to rewrite the entire like chunk of JavaScript before it. And then once you've done that, you run something else below it, and then below it. And then once you have this whole list, like the way I have it, it ultimately like saves it to a file, and it like saves all the commands in the sequence that it was run. So then if you want to make it repeatable, you have that history, and and then the agent like has a way that it can like pull that information back and then reconstruct it into like a real navigable script. So you can like say, okay, go explore this site and like find all the information. Then it's like, oh, go make this into a repeatable script. Well, it's already done all the hard work of gathering the information, and so it's able to do that super efficiently. And so I was just like, okay, if I was going to actually have to do this kind of stuff, what would be the experience that I want, and what are like the hard, annoying parts that you don't want to do and are like error prone? And that's what I like abstracted away into this CLI. I'll show you there. So like it's really just a very simple set of like root commands, and then within there, there's like this concept of progressive disclosure where you have like tab X. Right, where you can like see different things, and OpenAI uses like obviously like behind this Chrome thing is a skill. So if you go right, so this is really just one big fancy skill that like gives a ton of examples. This is a super long one. It's like 1,000 lines or something. But anyways, point being is they've done it through a skill. I've done it through just like, again, this idea of progressive disclosure where it gives little like guides like inspect live sessions, blah, blah, blah. And then here are some examples that you might want to do. And as like the agent is navigating through like the help window, it basically learns what it needs to do. And the thing is, like, this stuff is just very, it's just fascinating to me that there isn't any magic, right? Like, this stuff is the same principle of what makes a good website, right? It doesn't have a ton of information until you actually need it, and it has the right information where you need it. You follow those same design principles and, like, prevent your project from growing into, like, bloated chaos, and the agents turn out to work really well with it. But like honestly, like pretty much just like whatever I thought was gonna work is how I implemented this, and so just seeing that it was very similar was just very gratifying. I did maybe like I did a couple of hours worth of like tuning by like having Claude call it. Just Claude is a little bit lazier. Like their Anthropic models, most of them, like prior to 4.7, were like a little bit lazy and would just like give up and be like, oh, I can't do that. And so it was an easy mechanism for saying, okay, did it give up? Why did it give up? Could it actually not do something, or could it just not find something? And so it was easy to like uncover the problems and start to tune it. And then once Claude was able to do it super quickly, I was like, yeah, CLI is good. I'm done. And then I started actually using it. All right, so sadly this one is gonna stay private. If I know you personally and you want the binary, it's all just written primarily in Go. I'm happy to share that. I even went through and like created the homebrew tabs, created like a quick site for it. But honestly, because this one does include like the network capture, I just didn't feel comfortable making it easier for someone to potentially get it and use it to go like steal a bunch of people's data or creds or whatever. So I will say I feel very validated in that decision, because as I was using this, I got this error while trying to record the first version, and I had to go do like whatever the ChatGPT cyber verify thing. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I had a fantastic time figuring out how all this stuff worked and how they designed it. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy. So yeah.